B2. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. B2 is difficult. Personally, I spent a whole month preparing for this, and I still barely passed my listening test, though the others are pretty good. You're gonna have to be mentally prepared. This is very difficult, but not impossible. B2 requires immersion. You need to immerse yourself in German media so you can get used to the listening, so you can get used to the vocabulary. You really need immersion. This is really important. But how do you get immersion? Well, find something you're interested in, right? And then find German media about it. Simple. Is it? It's sometimes pretty hard to find these media. I mean, YouTube's a thing, sure, but you don't know where exactly to look for. So let me give you some pointers here. Listen to music, right? But what kind of music? First off, depends on your taste. But my recommendation is find a preferably slow music. So if you like pop, for example, listen to Namika. Pretty good pop songs, but slow enough that you can sing along to them. Or if you like old hits like also known as Schlager, listen to Peter Alexander, one of the best German artists of the 60s and 70s. Highly recommended. Very good songs, and they're slow, and you can sing along to them. Next, YouTube videos. Sure, you have interests when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to like videos and stuff, but you don't really know where to start, and you don't really know German channels very well. Well, let me give you some recommendations. If you like science, find Dinge erklärt, kurz gesagt. If you like to listen about scandals of companies, watch videos from Simplicissimus. If you like games, like console or Nintendo, watch Firebro, and so on and so on. Find something you're interested in so you don't get bored when you're trying to immerse yourself in these videos. And next, the other thing you need to think about is not reading subtitles. Especially don't read English or Indonesian subtitles. Okay, it's not gonna do you any good. When you first start watching YouTube, German YouTube videos, watch German YouTube videos with German subtitles. This will get you into the mode where you listen and you can pick out these words. And as you watch over time, stop using subtitles at all, and then you can start listening. I know that word. Okay, I get it. And once you can get to the point where you when you understand the main point of the video, then it's worked. It has worked. And if you want to go a bit further, you can maybe try to explain the video, or maybe like write down the main points of the video with your own words. So you can try using the new vocabulary you just learned, or try to express the ideas you learned from the video yourself. Next thing you can do, this is especially useful for listening. Listen to podcasts. Similar thing. Find something you're interested in, listen to the podcast. Some good recommendations is maybe Elementarfragen, Coffee Talk German, Slow German, and more. You can Google, maybe you Google what your interest and German podcast. You'll probably find some, or you can just Google recommendations for German podcasts. But immersion is not enough. You're taking an exam, you have to prepare for it. How do you prepare for it? Well, to prepare for the exam, The key word here is practice, practice, practice. It's really important for you to get used to the type of questions that they will ask you, and for you to make strategies on how to get around vocabulary you don't know. So practice, practice, practice. And especially when it comes to schreiben and sprechen, ask your teacher's opinion about how you write, what mistakes you've made, and try to do it again without repeating the same mistakes. And you also have to mentally prepare that the practices you're going to do are much easier than the real thing. So you have to prepare to experience the real difficult thing. So set expectations and prepare mentally. And the most important thing, I think, is to stay calm. When you're doing the exam later, you're gonna have to stay calm. If you panic and you fail to understand the words, then you're definitely going to make a lot more mistakes. And that brings us to some tips for during the exam. For schreiben and for lesen and hören, underline the important words in the questions and answers. You can underline them and look for words or words related to this word or this word in the text or in the audio, and that will help you answer the questions. For sprechen, only write keywords. Don't write a script. If you write a script, you end up reading, and you will take so much time to write while during your preparation time. You only have 15 minutes to prepare for your speaking exam. If you waste that time writing a script, you will not have enough time to prepare for Teil 2. Right? Next thing you need to keep in mind, especially for the schreiben, is keep an eye on how many words you've written. And after you finish writing it, reread it multiple times. Check for grammar mistakes. Check for word count. If you wrote too little, you will lose marks on Erfüllung. And if you make grammar mistakes, you will also lose marks, of course. But these two things are very important to keep an eye on, because they can make or break your writing. Especially for me, I did not write enough words for Teil 2. I had to rewrite the whole thing within the time I had left. It was grueling, but I managed to do it. That's why keep an eye on your word count. Next, you might have all these tips, but you still worry that you don't know enough vocabulary or you don't understand the grammar. Here's some tips for you. Read the news. A good news source to read is DW. They're a German news network. They have an app on your phone that you can read anywhere. You can even bookmark articles that you want to read that you find interesting, and you can read them. Here's why you should do this, right? The words used in the news, especially from DW, are the kinds of words you will find in the exam. They're not going to be the exact words, but they're going to be the kind that you will find in the exam. So while you're reading these news articles, take out a dictionary and a notebook. Note down the words you've never seen before. Look them up. Write down their definitions, either in German or in English or Indonesian, up to you. Although preferably in German. And the next thing you can do is you can read blogs and forums about when certain words are used. Like you can Google the differences between verwenden and benutzen. There's a slight difference, and you can look them up on Google. For example, you can write verwenden versus benutzen, like that. And you can find forums like Workstack Exchange, forums from High Native or Duolingo and stuff like that. People have asked that question and Germans have answered them. You can do that, or you can just ask a German if you know a German. Another thing you can do is read the blog yourdailygerman.com. This blog writer explains a lot of grammatical ideas in a very interesting and funny way that is just great to really helps you learn. And especially the prefixes, because once you understand the general idea of a prefix, you can actually use that to guess the meaning of a verb you never seen. For example, I knew that the word up means something like you're pushing away, and the prefix up, and I saw a word uplenen in my exam. I didn't know what uplenen meant, but because I know it has something to do with pushing away, I assumed it has something to do with declining, and I was right. So once you know these relationships between the prefixes, the verbs, and the context, you can guess the meaning of the word. And that's very useful when you do the exam. Because of course you're not going to know every word, right? You need methods to guess meanings of words, to go around the words you don't understand, and still manage to build a proper image of what the text is saying. That's very important. Another good source is Easy German. That's a YouTube channel that discusses German words, grammatical ideas in German, entirely in German. So you can watch them, and normally it's also pretty funny. So you can watch them and you can learn, for example, differences between also and so, and maybe you can learn about the most common verbs and stuff like that. It's really useful to learn from this YouTube channel. And some extra tips. Try writing a daily diary only in German using words you learned that day. If you write a diary, you can learn to express yourself, your experiences, entirely in German. And once you can fluently write down your ideas and your feelings in German, you can express them while talking much easier and a lot more fluently. Not fluent per se, but more fluently. And also, because you write words that you learned that day, it helps make that word stick in your head. How the word is used, what its meaning, and stuff like that. Another thing you can do is trying to understand, as in like maybe translate song lyrics. This helps you not only learn new vocabulary, but help you learn, for example, the preterite form of a verb, because that's very common in music. And you can also, for example, use it to help you remember when a verb needs a reflexive object or not. For example, personally, how I remember the word that the verb denken needs the prefix an, and followed by an accusative. How do I remember that? I just remember a song from the Phantom of the Opera, the German version, titled Denk an mich. And just memorizing that short line, you can tell, okay, the denken comes with an and it follows by an accusative. That's it. You can use music to help you learn grammar and vocabulary. Very useful. Another thing you can do is connecting grammar ideas and vocabulary to existing ideas you already know. For example, you can take the prefix auf, and you know that it's related to English up, and you can take the word treten, and then you relate it to English, and you know it means to tread. So it means tread up, as in step up. And that's exactly what the German auftreten means. It literally means to step up, to arise. And using these kind of relations, it not only helps you help the word stick in your head, but also helps you guess some meanings. Another example, in English you can say I am going into a subject. What do you say in German? Eingehen, literally go in. You can use this relationship that you've understood to not only remember German words, but also to guess meanings as well. This is similar to the idea of when I said about the prefixes as well. Another thing you can do is finding a chatting partner. For example, in the social media Discord, you can find a lot of servers where there's either it's mostly German learners or language learners in general, or there's even native Germans. I've personally talked to a Swiss and an Austrian in Discord, and I spoke to them entirely in German, as just to chat, and that helps you talk to Germans, but also so that Germans see your German and correct it, which is very useful. Another thing you can do is, of course, use memorize vocabulary in the old-fashioned way, using flashcards or flashcard apps like Anki. But there's also a lot of apps that help you learn the language, like Seedlang, which is, by the way, created by the creators of Easy German, the YouTube channels. Another good one is LinkQ, which allows you to find books in German and read them and mark the words you don't know and put them into flashcards, which is really useful, though they have a limit for the free version, so just keep that in mind. But then, of course, learning a language isn't only grammar and vocabulary, right? You need to be able to speak. And in order to practice your German when you speak to your teacher. This is so important. Speak to your teacher as much as possible in German. Don't use English, don't use Indonesian, use German. You need to use German as much as possible, as often as possible. It's very important. And try expressing your feelings, your ideas in German. This is very important. Because if you can't, you're going to have a hard time with the Sprechentest. Because they really require you to talk about what you think, what you feel about something. And if you can't do that, you're pretty much screwed in the Sprechentest. So it's very important you do it. You talk to your teacher in German. Or you can find another speaking partner. Maybe a friend that also learns German, or maybe you are friends with a German. You can do that. Or you can just go to, as I said before, Discord. They have voice channels where you can talk with Germans through speech, and it's really useful, and it's something that you should probably do. And another thing is, take your time. German is a difficult language. There's a lot of small things you have to pay attention to. So take your time, talk slowly. The faster you talk, the more mistakes you make. The longer you talk, the more mistakes, the higher likelihood you're gonna make mistakes. So take your time, try to condense what you think, and try it, and just let it flow out. But take your time, okay? So all in all, the B2, it really requires hard work. It really requires immersion, and it's going to be hard. It will be hard, but it's not impossible. If you work hard, if you dedicate yourself to preparing for this exam, you can do it. I was very afraid of the exam. I spent a whole month preparing for the exam, doing practices every day for a whole month. I did practices, I had classes. I was very scared for the exam. I went into the exam thinking I could not do it. I did the exam and I finished the exam thinking I will fail, but I managed to get a good score. You do not need to be afraid. It's not impossible. It's very doable. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. You're going to get stressed out. But you must remain calm. And you must know. You mst mentally prepare for it. Once you've mentally prepared for it, you can do it. Alright? And all these tips I've given you, they're not going to work. They're not going to work for everyone. So take these tips that I've given you, these recommendations I've given you, and make your own path. Make your own preparation method, something that fits you, your interests, your attention span, and your work speed. You need to find a method that works for you. There is no one size fits all. You can't just Google how do I prepare for an exam. You cannot. You have to make your own method. For me, it was listening to music every day, especially only German music, doing practice papers every day. That was what worked for me. I've also written notes. I've tried diaries. They don't really work for me, but I did try them. So try things out, see what works for you, and keep doing what works for you. Once you get this done, once you're able to immerse yourself in the language and you can prepare for the exam, you can do the exam well.